What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GOAT Show. This week in college football was crazy. A lot of upsets. Rankings are probably more finalized this week because we actually have stuff to base it off of. Welcome my partner here, Blake Smith, my brother. What's up, Blake?
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, Tate.
You're welcome. But today we will be doing our top 25 rankings. A lot has changed, and here we go. Blake, who do you have at number 25?
Tate, at number 25, I have the Texas A&M Aggies at number 25. They lost to an Appalachian State that shocked everyone. But I still have Texas A&M as one of the top 25 teams in the country right now. They just had an off week.
Man, I love this. Last week, I called them overrated. I trashed on the AP Fool, man. Having them at number 6 last week? Oh, bro, I knew it was coming. Imagine only scoring 14 points on a team that allowed 63 points in week 1. I knew it was coming. They didn't look good in week 1. But number 25 for me, I have Washington. Washington has a pretty tough game next week. Well, on Saturday. They host Michigan State. And I was looking on ESPN today, and they're actually favored to win by 3.5 points against Michigan State. Washington got transfer quarterback Michael Penix, who previously played for Indiana. And I'm actually pretty high on Washington this year. In my preseason predictions, I had them finishing 8-4. But man, they haven't really played anyone. They played Portland State and won by a lot. And then they played Kent State week 1 and won 45-20. But this game's going to be a good game. This is a top 3 game of the week in my opinion, and I have Washington at number 25. The AP pool has Oregon at 25. Number 24, Blake, who do you have?
At number 24, I have Pittsburgh at number 24. I know we lost last week against a pretty good Tennessee team. I think they lost, 34-27 in overtime, Tate?
Yes.
I feel like I'm still strong with this team, so I couldn't take them out of the top 25. I like Kim Slovis. I feel like he's going to get Pittsburgh back to where he needs to be.
Number 24 in the AP pool, they have A&M. Number 24 for me, I have Kansas State. Kansas State is coming off a pretty solid win. They're probably one of the sleeper teams in the Big 12. A lot of people aren't high on them. I had them at 7-5, if I remember in my preseason predictions. But Adrian Martinez hasn't looked good throwing, but he's looked good running. I expect a lot from this team, and number 24 suits him right now. Blake, who do you have at number 23?
Okay, at number 23, I have the Oregon Ducks. They had a big bounce back win against Eastern Washington. They won 70-14. I feel like Bo Nix has had a rough week 1. I don't think we should take that. I mean, Georgia did slaughter them, but week 1 hiccups. I feel like Oregon's going to bounce back and have a pretty good season still this year.
Man, I can't put them in the rankings after they lost that bad. At number 23, they have Pittsburgh in the AP pool. Not a very good pool. Number 23 for me, I have the Baylor Bears. Man, I was shocked. BYU shocked me. I really did think that Baylor was going to take this one. I know it was at BYU. But there's no excuse for them not to be able to win that game if they were considered a top 10 team. I have them dropping, but they'll soon be back in my top 15. But I'm just disappointed in them, so I'm saying number 23. Blake, who do you have at number 22?
I have Mississippi State at number 22. I feel like they're a pretty underrated team right now in the SEC. And they had a pretty good one against Arizona, 31-17. So I just feel like Mississippi State is going to get better each week. It's going to be a sleeper team by the end of the season, Tate.
At number 22 in the AP pool, they finally ranked Penn State. That's a rare AP pool W. Number 22, I also have Mississippi State. They're one of the most talented teams in the SEC, and they're also a dark horse in the SEC this year. Like Blake said, they're coming off a good win against Arizona, and they got a week 1 win against Memphis. Last year they did lose against Memphis, but this year they did beat them, and they're starting off the track 2-0. They play LSU this week, and that should be a good game. If they beat LSU, I feel like it's going to get the Mississippi State rolling. Number 21, Blake, who do you have?
At number 21, I have TCU ranked. They had a pretty big win, I think, against Tarleton. 59-17. I like the quarterback Max Duggan. He threw 5 touchdown passes last week. I have high hopes for this TCU team this year, Tate.
And number 21 in the AP pool, they have 1-1 Texas. I'm fine with that. That's a pretty good spot for Texas. And number 21 for me, I have Minnesota. Minnesota has looked dominant. I mean, they haven't played much of a good team yet. They played New Mexico State, and they played West Illinois last week. Tanner Morgan, he looked very solid. Abraham, as you guys know, he ran all over the place. They smacked West Illinois, and I think this team deserves to be ranked. I have them at number 21. Blake, who do you have at number 20?
Tate, at number 20, this is where I have the Penn State Nifty Lions. They had a very impressive win over Ohio. Ohio didn't stand a chance against them. I feel like these Penn State Nifty Lions are heading in the right direction and still contending in the Big Ten East. The best conference in football, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Penn State actually has a big game this week.
Who we play?
At Auburn.
Oh, hey, they do.
At number 20 in the AP pool and the GOAT pool. You know what I'm saying? we have Ole Miss. Ole Miss is also a sleeper in the SEC. They didn't look very good week 1. Only won like 28-10 against Troy. But they bounced back and beat Central Arkansas 59-3. Jackson Dart, I'm still high on them this year. Another thing I love about Ole Miss is their jerseys. They're just so fun to watch, especially with the jerseys. But so I have them sitting at number 20. Blake, who do you have at number 19?
Tate, at number 19, this is where I put the Florida Gators. They looked terrific in week one. They didn't look terrible against Kentucky. They just got outplayed by Kentucky, in my opinion, Tate. So I dropped them a couple rankings. They're still in the top 25. I still feel like they're a top 25 team. Richardson's still going to get better. ETN's going to improve. I feel like this Florida team's going to be scary still.
Can you go ahead and say who you have at number 18?
At number 18, I have the Utah Utes. The team Fuller beat in week 1, but then Utah had a pretty good win against Southern Utah. They won 70-3. I think they bounced back pretty good, and I feel like Utah is still a very scary team this year.
At number 19 in the AP pool, they have 2-0 Wake Forest, and then at number 18, they have Florida at 1-1. So Blake, I have Florida ahead of Utah due to their head-to-head win. So I have Utah at 19 and Florida at 18. So we're pretty similar in that aspect. But Florida's loss was to a Kentucky team. So that's why I have them ahead of them. Strength of schedule, and they got the head-to-head win. So I have Florida at 18 and Utah at 19. Blake, who do you have at number 17?
Number 17, this is where I have Ole Miss. Like I said, Ole Miss didn't look good in week 1 against Troy, winning like 20-10. But they did look very good against Central Arkansas, winning that game 59-3. Ole Miss is going to be a tough team to beat in the SEC, Tate.
At number 17 in the AP pool, they have Baylor dropping down there. Number 17 for me, it's going to be a shock to some people. I got Florida State. Florida State just had a bye week, but like I said, Florida State was precinct 23 in my rankings, and a lot of teams in front of them lost, so I had to have them move up. Their best win's LSU, even though they almost did choke that game, and then they have another one against the Quints, 47-7. But Florida State, they've looked very solid. They have a Friday night game against Louisville at Louisville. So if they win this game, I feel like this can be a good stepping stone for Florida State. Blake, who do you have at number 16?
At number 16, this is where I have NC State. They had a big blowout win against Central Charleston, I think.
Charles Southern.
Charles Southern, my bad. They won 50-93, and NC State still right there for the ACC championship.
At number 16, they have NC State. Both the trash bowls. At number 16, I got the Volunteers. Tennessee won week 1, 59-10. And then they go on the road against Pitt, and they win. That's a very solid win. They started off the game pretty slow, and in the second half, they came back and they exploded. They showed the SEC dominance, and I'm actually very excited to watch this team this year. At number 15, Blake, who do you have?
Take number 15, this is where I put the Baylor Bears at. The reason I didn't drop them super too far is because they did play a very good BYU team that I feel like was underrated going into the season. And it wasn't like BYU stumped over them. It was an overtime victory. I believe the score was
26-20.
26-20. Thank you, Tate. I have real confidence in Blake. I think Cohen, he's a very good quarterback. I think Blake Sharpen, my bad, but he's going to bounce back and be good for the Baylor Bears in the Big 12.
At number 15, the AP poll has Tennessee. That's a good spot for him. At 15 for me, I have Texas Longhorns. Quinn Ewers went down in the first half, which was a big blow to Texas. I don't know if Texas is back or Alabama was very undisciplined this game. They had a flag like every single play.
They had 13 penalties taken that game, I believe.
It's crazy because you're one of the best teams in college football and you can't even remain disciplined.
Wasn't a Nick Saban team.
Yeah, I know. And Will Anderson, this person is supposed to be Heisman, in the second half had 3 penalties on himself alone, and he had a very stupid, unnecessary roughness one. Like, they was trying to get up, he goes and just tackles him for no reason. And that cost them 15 yards, and that eventually led to Texas taking the lead. But Texas, Bijan Robinson, I feel like he could be a Heisman candidate. Looks very solid at running back. I'm actually looking forward to watching this Texas team. The defense balled out against Alabama. I was shocked. As you know, we both had Alabama winning that game. Humongous.
Yes, winning, I think, by 17 at least.
Double digits. But if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, Texas
wins that game.
Probably wins that game.
Yeah.
Blake, who do you have at number 14?
At number 14, I have the Tennessee Volunteers at number 14. They had a heck of a game against Pittsburgh. That was a very good defensive game. They were over Keaton Slovis. I think they sacked him 4 or 5 times. That was just a good win for the Tennessee Volunteers.
At number 14 in the AP pool, they got the Utes. They should not be that high. They blow out a bad team and lost. Like, come on. At number 14 for me, this is where I have BYU. At the beginning of the season, I called them overrated. Did not think they were going to be that team. I had them being the second best independent team. But they got a very solid win against Baylor. It was a home game, and BYU realistically should have won before overtime, but they missed a game-winning field goal. And then they missed another game-winning field goal to win the game in overtime. It was a good game. BYU shocked me. 14 is where I have them. They have Oregon this week, if I recall. And I feel like that's going to be a good game. If they win that game, they might even jump into the top 10 due to having 2 top 25 wins. Blake, who do you have at number 13?
At number 13, this is where I have Kentucky just sitting outside the top 10. They had a real good win against Florida. And I feel like if they continue to win, it's going to be very hard to keep them out of the top 10, maybe even the top 5 by the end of the season. But they still got very good SEC teams to play through. So don't get your hopes up too high yet, huh?
Yeah. At number 13, the AP poll has Miami. That's a decent spot for one. At number 13, I have Michigan State. Michigan State looked dominant this week. They put Akron. They won 52-0. But there's still some questions there, especially after the week 1 game where they had an 8-point lead playing Western Michigan. But this week, as you guys know, they play at Washington. They're not favorites, but if they go in there and get the job done, it's going to look good for the Big Ten. But if they go in there and they lose, I don't know, man. Michigan State has a lot of questions right now, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they figure it out or not. Blake, who do you have at number 12?
Take at number 12, this is where I have BYU at. The same reason I have Kentucky at 13, just outside the top 10. I don't think they're top 10 teams yet, but they're knocking on the door of being top 10 teams, Tate.
So you and the AP pool both have BYU at 12? Number 12 for me, I have Miami Hurricanes. Van Dyke looked awful against Southern Miss. I was actually getting kind of worried in the first half because Southern Miss, I'm pretty sure, had the lead like 7-3. But in the second half, we saw the real Miami football, and they took the lead, and they just kept the lead. They won 30-7, and Miami is probably the second favorite to win the ACC in my opinion. But the ACC is looking very solid this year with Wake Forest, NC State, Miami, and Clemson. Blake, who do you have at number 11?
Tate, at number 11, I have Miami, Florida. Miami, like you said, they did not look too good against Southern
Miss.
My bad. But I do have them just outside the top 10 because Van Dyke didn't look too good. I feel like they need to play an NC State or Wake Forest and beat them if they have the right to be in that top 10.
At number 11, this is where they have Michigan State. At number 11 for me, I have Kentucky. Kentucky is currently 2-0. They got their first win against Miami, Ohio, winning 37-13. Will Levis looked good last week against Florida, but the Kentucky defense bought out, getting a pick six, which kind of sealed the win for Kentucky. It's a very solid win by Kentucky, and I want to be shocked if they're in the top 10 in the next couple weeks. We're heading into our top 10. Blake, who do you have at 10?
Starting off my top 10, Tate, this is where I have Michigan State Sparties. I feel like they're the 10th best team in the country. I still don't believe in their offense 100%. I still feel like they haven't filled the void and losing their running back in Kenneth Walker last year. They had a big win against Akron this week, 52-0, but it's an Akron team. They should have won big, in my opinion. So if Michigan State is able to take on be able to beat a better team in the Big Ten East or something, they move up in my rankings. But right now they're at number 10, Tate.
At number 10, I have a Big Ten East team. I have Penn State. The AP pool finally ranked them. Number 10 in the AP pool is Arkansas. But Penn State is a very solid team. I still believe in Clifford. They just went out and destroyed Ohio. I figured that would happen. But I'm still very conscious about them because Penn State's Penn State. They could lose to a bad team. Like last year, they lost to Illinois. But week 1, I saw a lot of Penn State, and I like the Penn State football team. They got the 31-28 win over Purdue, and Purdue is probably the favorite in the West besides Minnesota right now. But Penn State, it's at number 10 for me. Blake, who do you have at number 9?
Tate, at number 9, this is where I have the Arkansas Razorbacks. They had a very good win against South Carolina. They won 44-30. KJ Jefferson looked freaking awesome. And he led his team to win. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, no hate. I mean, Rattler did okay for South Carolina, but
Arkansas was just clearly the better team.
KJ Jefferson clearly led his team and outplayed that South Carolina team.
At number 9 in the AP pool, they have Kentucky. I feel like that's a little too high right now. At number 9 for me, I have Oklahoma State. They just came off a big win against Arizona State, and it was a very solid win. They beat them by double digits in a potential upset game that they could have had. But Oklahoma State might be the best team in the Big 12 after the Baylor loss. The Oklahoma State and Oklahoma game, Battle of Bedlam, is going to be a good one. Blake, who do you have at number 8?
Take at number 8, this is where I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys at. They beat down on a Arizona State team 34-17. They looked very good. All I gotta say is go Cowboys go.
Okay. At number 8, they have Oklahoma State. Number 8 for me, this is where I have Clemson at. Clemson is not gonna be a top 4 team unless they start Cade. It's the complete opposite with Michigan. Michigan's benching Cade, but Clemson needs to start Cade. DJ, whatever his last name is, he's not that guy, and if you guys start him, you guys are not gonna be a top 4 team. You guys scored 35 points on a Furman team. Come on, man. You guys scored more points than that. You scored 41 on Georgia Tech, but you scored like 17 in the fourth quarter with like 5 minutes left. Offense is not looking that good. Defense is pretty solid. I like what you guys have on defense, but man, you guys are not a top 4 team right now. Probably not even a top 5 team with the way your offense is playing. Blake, who do you have at number 7?
Take at number 7, I have USC at number 7. UFC looked very good against Stanford. They went to Stanford and beat them 41-28. Caleb Williams looked excellent in that game. Do you agree, Tate?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So that's why I have them at 7, and hope next week they may be sneaking in my top 5.
Number 7 in the AP poll is also USC. Number 7 for me is Arkansas. Arkansas has Bama coming up very soon. I think it's week 5, and they host them in Arkansas. That is going to be a very, very good game. Arkansas looked very good. I doubted them. Again, this game, I didn't think they would win by that much points. And the game was close for the most part, but Arkansas put away in the fourth quarter. Arkansas and KJ Jefferson, I'm going to be shocked if they end up beating Bama, especially after seeing how Bama played.
You're marking that?
Not marking it.
Not marking it?
Not yet. But I want to be shocked. At number 6, Blake, who do you have?
At number 6, Tate, I have the Oklahoma Sooners here. They had a pretty easy win against Penn State. They won 33-3, something like that. I have them at number 6 because it's really little wiggle room in my top 7 right now. It's really very hard to say.
Yeah.
So hard to switch up the top 7 right now, you know?
Yeah, so number 6 in the AP poll was also Oklahoma. Number 6 in my poll is also Oklahoma. I think they're the best Big 12 team right now. I like what they're doing right now. They lost Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams, but they're still winning. And this team looks very consistent. The one thing that does worry me is their defense. I don't know if they're going to be as good, but last week in the first half, they're the reason that Oklahoma's defense was the reason they won the game. Because not halftime, but like in the first half, they were losing the game. And then in the second half, that's when the offense got their spark and they took over. Reminded me a lot of the Miami game. But Oklahoma at 6 for me. At number 5, Blake, who you have?
Today, this is where I have Clemson. And like you said, they had a pretty crappy looking one against Furman, 35-13. I feel like I don't know about Clemson. I mean, are they good or they're not good? We don't know. I feel like I can't wait till they play a better ACC team this year. Do they play NC State or something this year, Tate?
Yeah, they do.
I feel like that's going to show us what Clemson's made of, make them, break them. So that's why I have them at number 5 right now, Tate.
At number 5 in the AP pool, they got Clemson. At number 5 for me, you're not going to like this one. I have Alabama. Alabama they're undisciplined right now. Do they have a lot of talent? Yes. But talent's not going to win you games. Discipline is. Because you could have all these 5 stars, but if you get a penalty every single play, it's not good. I mean, everyone expected Bama to go out and just smack Texas, and they didn't. Texas was an unranked team, and they won by 1 point. And a lot of people were saying, like I said earlier, if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, does Texas win that game? Personally, I think they would have, because they didn't have no offense after Quinn left. Quinn had he was 9 for 11 before he went out. And then
early in the first quarter.
Yeah, if Ewers played, that would have opened up a lot more runs for Bijan Robinson, because
they would have been able to throw the ball more, huh?
And then Bama, all they had to really do was game plan around to stop Robinson, and that's what they did in the second half. And then in the last drive where Alabama took the lead, Texas missed a huge sack on Bryce Young, which would have put them out of the field goal range. Alabama, you're at number 5 for me. You have not been played like a top 4 team this year. And the teams I have in the top 4 have played better than you this year. Blake, number 4.
Take my number 4 is the Michigan Wolverines still. They had a very good looking one against Hawaii. And I think it's been announced JJ's going to be their guy going forward. Am I correct, Tate?
Yes.
I have JJ being a underrated Heisman favorite
Number
this year.
5 right now.
Number 5.
At number 4 in the AP pool, they also have Michigan. At number 4 for me, representing the Pac-12, I have USC.
Ooh.
Like you said, they went into Stanford and got the job done. Week 1, they beat Rice 66-14. USC's offense is probably a top 5 offense in the nation. The only question there is the defense. How good is the defense? USC's hardest game is at Utah, and that's going to be a good game. USC is definitely one of the top teams in the nation right now, and I feel like they've outperformed everyone I've said on the list so far. But USC, man, they're a team to watch out for and a sleeper for the playoffs this year. Number 3, Blake, who do you have?
At number 3, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes. They had a slow start in their Week 2 game against Arkansas State in the first half. But by the time the second half came around, they busted it open and won 45-12. The reason I have the Buckeyes here, I feel like they're just getting started and it's going to be competitive to win that Big Ten.
Number 3 in the AP pool, they also have the Buckeyes. At number 3 in my AP pool, I also have the Buckeyes. So there's only 2 teams who's doesn't really have any question marks right now, and that's my top 2. Ohio State's question mark, it's their offense right now. Smith and Jigba's out, and Stroud, I mean, he's playing good, but against Notre Dame, he struggled a lot.
He wasn't hitting the big plays he did the year before, was he?
Ohio State against Arkansas State, Marvin Harrison, he took a step up with Njigba out, and he looked very solid. If I recall, he had 3 touchdowns. I mean, Ohio State's still a top team, don't get me wrong, but they have a lot to prove still. And after Marshall just beat Notre Dame, that leaves a lot of question marks about Ohio State's offense, because Marshall scored 26 on them, Ohio State scored 21. Is Ohio State's offense going to be as good as people think? Because before the season, they were, the number 1 offense. But now it's a question mark. You have USC's offense, Michigan's offense, Georgia's offense, Alabama's offense, Arkansas's offense.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of offenses that could be better than Ohio State's this year. And if Ohio State's defense doesn't play like they did Week 1, Ohio State might lose a couple games this year. Not a couple, but yeah, maybe a couple. Now we're down to the final 2, Blake. Who do you have at number 2?
Take at number 2, this is where I have Alabama. An ugly one is still one. Every team has an ugly one, you know? So I feel like Texas football is not back. I feel like Texas football played a real good Saturday game. I don't think they could repeat that performance if they played again this week. But Alabama is at number 2 for me, Tate.
In the AP pool, they also have Alabama, so your top 4 is the same. Number 2 for me is the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan, they haven't really played anyone, but in terms of most complete teams, they're probably one of the most complete teams. The defense didn't really allow anything until the second half when the third stringers win. J.J. McCarthy started this game. He went 11 for 12, like 199 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the only reason he didn't have a 12 for 12 is because Ronnie Bell dropped a pass right to his chest. But Michigan, they look dominant. They look better than last year. They play UConn this week. It's going to be a blowout win. But their first real test, I'd say, is against Maryland. Maryland's going to test their secondary and see how good the Michigan secondary is. But Michigan sits at number 2 there for me after winning 56-10 against Hawaii, being up 42-0 at halftime, and then Cade threw his interception in the second half, which I think solidified JJ starting. Michigan fans, they ticked me off because once Cade threw that interception, they started booing him. Cade does not deserve to be booed. He took Michigan to the playoffs.
First time ever.
And I hate to see him not be starting for Michigan, but JJ is obviously the better quarterback, and JJ is the person that's going to take Michigan to the playoffs. I think he's going to do that too. But I feel like Michigan can win even more games with JJ McCarthy at quarterback. Number 1, I think we'll have the same.
Georgia, Tate.
I have Georgia. 8 people has Georgia. I'll let you start.
Tate, I have Georgia. I mean, they are still the number 1 team in the nation to me. Their offense is the shocker, and still they've won 33-0 against Stanford. I don't think they played the starters the second half.
I don't think they played them past the first quarter.
Yeah, so Georgia number 1.
So I'm actually very interested because Georgia plays South Carolina. As I was saying, the South Carolina-Georgia game, that's going to be a good game this week. And if Spencer Rattler is actually that guy, as people say he is, I feel like he's going to get the job. Upset weekend. But Georgia, I was wrong about them in the preseason. I had them going 10-2. Had them losing to Oregon week 1 and then dropping a game to someone else in the SEC. But Georgia won 49-3. Then they beat Stanford with their third stringers in. So I feel like this week they're probably going to beat South Carolina. Wouldn't be shocked. But Georgia and Michigan, Ohio State are probably the definite top 3 teams. And then Alabama and USC are on the 4. So that's it for our top 25 rankings. If you guys enjoyed the video, go comment. Comment your top 5 because I'm actually interested in what you guys have for your top 5. Thank you, Blake, for coming back on the show. Our college football predictions will be posted on Saturday, so make sure to check that out. But until then, peace out. Go show out.
Go show up, people. Go like and subscribe.